Hello, and welcome to Mead Wargaming, our regularly scheduled podcast here on YouTube. And today I'm joined by my lovely team, who you can see on my left, or actually right, depends on which way you're looking at. And today we are going to be talking Legions and discussing all sorts of things in the realms of epic scale gaming and Warhammer. But before we get into any of that, I'm going to introduce you to the team. So today, with me, to my right on the screen, we have
John, hello.
And just below me, we have
Al, hello.
And across from me,
Oh.
Hi guys, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
And so, today's hobby podcast that we have got today is going to be focusing primarily on new ideas for rules, potentially units that we can include into the realm of epic scale gaming, Legions Imperialis, because we all have things that we'd like to do and would like to add. And I think it'd be quite fun for us to share that with the hobby community and maybe discuss how everyone can make their own stuff. It's a nice free-form game system, and it'd be quite nice to be able to do that.
Let's get going.
Cool.
Yeah.
But before we get onto all of that, we do have our regularly scheduled segment in Tankard Talk.
Indeed.
So, we will see you in just a moment. Hello, and welcome to the Tankard Talk section. Most of us are primed with tankards.
Joe's got
Good blast today.
Oh, damn it, Joe.
I can't decide whether that's just more sophisticated or underprepared.
I'll take the more sophisticated.
Yeah.
We'll go with that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so today's Tankard Talk, we're going to be focusing on the updates that a couple of us have been making towards our hobby progress and shaming those who have not.
Shame.
Yes, Joe's hiding in the corner and not saying anything.
Oh, I just assumed it was me today.
I mean, you are going to be sniped at for something, and you know what it's going to be.
I know what it's going to be, and I'm delighted to wait for the reactions.
I mean, technically, I could be sniped at as well because I haven't done any of my stuff myself.
That is also
Shall
very
we
true.
just go with, hey, Joey, what have you painted this week?
Yeah, let's go.
Can you carry this entire segment for us, or what have you... Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I got to try, so...
Yeah. One
Let's,
of us has to.
let's have a look at what we've been going, or what has been going on the hobby desks recently.
Ooh.
And today, I'm going to be showing off the Night Lords that I have painstakingly produced
My babies.
on behalf of elves here. And
They are looking...
Very nice.
They're so goddamn sexy. It's unbelievable. I love them so much. The Terminators are my favorite by far that he's done, like truly. And then my little missile guys as well are a very close second. I love them so much. Jamie has done such a good job. And then my assault boys.
Oh, hell yeah.
Is that... I'm not familiar with the proper assault kit. Is that axe in the kit, or is that...
yes,
your edition?
yes, that axe is in the kit. I did not bash that one.
No. I wanted
But
to...
it does add a... They do look... yes, they look good.
They look tasty, right? Like, That is like what I wanted. I wanted them to look like they can pack a punch. Like Night Lords are typically very tough. And I wanted them to look relatively scary. So Jamie's done a good job at replicating that, definitely.
The little pops of like red on the shoulder is just
It needs a little bit of extra colour, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I think the next one is the one I'm most proud of.
Is it what I think it is? Yeah, it's my baby. Look at my baby boys. I tell you what, they are gonna mess stuff up on the battlefield. They are so... I honestly can't wait to put them in a frickin' drop pod and put them on the frickin' table.
I don't know about putting them in a drop pod, but
You don't need a drop pod,
they don't need one though.
No, they just appear.
But genuinely, like, they are, at the moment, they are my favourite part of my army.
The gold trim is kind of everything.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I'm very glad these are the only models that really have trim sculpted into them, because it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
But it does look very cool, so I don't mind it on like that model alone. If it was on the rest of them, no.
40k style Thousand Suns at Legion scale.
No.
Oh my god.
As amazing as that would look, I wouldn't do it. No.
Just line of yellow, line of blue, line of yellow, line of blue.
I raise you Harlequins.
At that point, I feel like what you do in like Harlequins is you just like get like an airbrush and like put it on like this, like so it spits, and you're just like, there you go, there's the pattern. That'll do.
Yeah.
Those do look very, very tasty.
Yeah, these are very cool. That's the command base. Here's the commander
Very nice.
with the skin flag. I was gonna say that.
Nice.
That flag looks like it's made of an interesting material there.
Let's go. Honestly, when Jamie was like, "What do you want me to do with the banner?" I was like, "Take the skin off somebody's back." Obviously,
Scared the flag. Should have.
What
Exactly.
I enjoy as like almost like a like the storytelling that comes from this is they haven't just gone and skinned somebody and hung it up as a flag. They've gone to the effort of like crafting it into a perfect banner flag as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't just enough just to skin a guy. They were like, no, we're gonna make this into an actual flag.
babe, don't worry, I got you. There's gonna be a whole freaking one shot on that base right there. I'm telling you right now. I'm already working on like some writing and stuff for Atropos. It's coming, and it's gonna be good. You're gonna love it, I promise.
Just the idea of like the sewing classes for Night Lords on like how to best expose skin.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I wonder if Conrad got some inspiration from Sanguinius about his legion doing something artistic.
Is there?
They're like, "Oh, yeah,
Damn it, Bartholomew, you dropped a stitch again. Sorry.
Sorry.
Anyway, let's move on from the Night Lord's infantry, because I mean the majority of these infantry were all done on live stream on our Twitch. So do go and check that out if you would like to see at first hand how these were done. But I've also been working on some other stuff as well. I say working on, I finished some other stuff. It doesn't just end there. We've got some Kratos battle tanks.
Ooh,
Yeah,
very
they
nice.
And
Like
I can also reveal that the commander in the back is magnetized, and the main cannon is switchable as well.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah.
you do have some options there. Furthermore, we have Sakarans with the alternative turret painted up as well,
Ooh. So they can be swapped out.
so
even
they
though
can be swapped out.
I don't think you'd ever want to. Like
You would.
Is that?
Yeah. The accelerator cannons actually are they're actually quite good for shooting air targets.
But since now, Jamie, when we've been playing games, he hasn't been playing with any flyers at the moment. I've not been using it, so
Also, I'm just gonna point out the little Night Lord's transfers.
Yeah, I like a
Awesome.
tiny transfers. They're like cool.
Yeah, check them out.
Yeah.
Oh. Yep.
And that is not all. There is
No.
also some Land Raiders.
Oh,
Nice.
oh my god, look at them, they're so cute.
So yes, a small little armoured company to accompany all of that infantry.
you can stick your Terminators in those. That would be the real winner there.
Yeah.
Is load them up with Terminators and race them across the field.
Yeah.
Good. I've just noticed that we've lost a Joe.
I
no.
also noticed that as well, but I was mid-flow, so I was like, do I... Ah!
Oh, I've returned.
It's fine, he's returned.
He's back.
We're good. It's fine.
So
Just lost in the warp somewhere.
Right, moving on from my hobby desk and my Larry's, we're going to pop over to the submission from another member of the team, which would be, of course, John.
ooh.
And you may notice that some of these images are similar to last week. Don't worry, there are some other ones, but
A little bit more work this week.
they are. But if you'd like to quickly go over some
Yeah.
of what we've got here.
More of my little Corsairs. I think this one, compared to last week, I think this one kind of shows off the blue skin that I was going for, kind of like that ashy grey. So leaning into that idea of like the Morrowind, Dunmer kind of style. And actually, I'm really pleased with how the hair came out on this one. It's got I've tried to go something a little bit different on each one with the really kind of bright and vibrant hairs and the various soul stones on the chest. Actually, using the Citadel technical paints for what they were labelled out to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend
Instead
to.
of just lenses.
I was going to say they tend to be just lenses these days.
Yeah. Although the red is way more orange than I ever like. Every time I pick it up, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be red, and then I put it on, and it's like it's orange.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. I have to say, actually, I stopped using them now. I just use contrast now.
Same.
Yeah,
For lenses and stuff, I just use the contrast.
yeah. My technicals have kind of just sat there languishing in dust now.
Although, and I'm sure it'll come up on the actual video, or maybe if people get real close to that particular picture, you can see that I did paint the eyes red on there.
Yes, yeah, I can see that.
And,
I have it in my glasses on.
like that was horrifying to do. So it was like absolutely just trying to go in very like delicately with like the finest brush that not the absolute finest brush I've got, because I've still not busted that one out. I was bought the army painter insane detail, which is about 3 hairs that are just like at a point. But yeah, very chuffed with how that came out. I didn't try to do the whites on the eyes.
Very nice.
This one is the healer. I've actually now finally played a game with them.
Perfect.
And now that they're all painted, so I can't, I don't get the curse of the one painted model getting absolutely obliterated off the table. Instead, all of my models got obliterated off the table.
No.
But it's okay because I did the exact same to the other side. It was a brutal game.
Okay.
We're gonna go for missions this time, and all we did was kill each other, and it was glorious because we just absolutely brutal. Yeah, it was absolutely brutal. Yeah,
it is an amazing kit. I have put 2 of these kits together now.
The white was like so chuffed with how it came out, but
it's very nice.
It was just like I'm trying to remember how I ended up building it up, but I then used not quite the same. It's basically almost like I think it's like Soul Blight, like it's a wash, but it's like a very very light grey wash to essentially kind of get that like effect to it. And then and at the bottom, as a fun little nod, they had like a little crystal hanging off of all of the stones. So I was trying to get a little nod to be like, it's almost like a little bit of warp crystal at the bottom. Like they picked up all these things and along the way just accidentally nabbed a bit of warp crystal that's in very much the wrong place.
A bit of warpstone.
A bit of warpstone. That was it. Warpstone. That was what I was thinking of.
Are you trying to imply that Skaven might exist in 40k?
Impossible. Much like Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar, there's no such thing as Skaven.
I mean, no, we have a name for them, but I don't know what they are.
No. Rats living underneath cities madness couldn't possibly be held. Couldn't possibly
That
happen.
doesn't happen.
Yes, absolutely.
And then my Psyker, which I did the thing that I do anytime I get a chance to paint up a Psyker, I do the exact same thing, which is the eyes now get the what the hell is that paint called? The
Thematic blue. Yeah.
Thematic blue in the eyes. Yep.
Yeah. It's great, babe.
Again, the Psyker in the game did not cast a single spell, beat a guy to death with the stick, and then got blown up. He was very unpsychery that day. He was not a standard Eldar game.
Well, I mean, at least he has the option to cast spells instead of just cast gun.
Oh. He's actually got a very, very fun rule, which I feel like you would enjoy, Jamie.
Probably.
Which is from their position, you can select 2 models that are within 5 inches and make them swap places. You can like run a guy out, make him do something, and then activate the psyker and make him swap with somebody else.
That's very cool.
It has to be your own. I was hoping that at some point I could do it with like an enemy model and just like just reappear on your side of the board and beat them to death behind.
That does remind me of one of my favourite characters, Dota 2, which was Vengeful Spirit, which had that ability.
What, just for swap places?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
amazing.
So we've got another one.
The Wraith Cannon. This is actually one of the kind of like the early ones I ended up doing. Really shows off the Wraithbone. That is just like ivory paint within the Skeleton Horde contrast.
Oh,
That
that
makes
is a
sense.
good contrast, to be fair.
It's such a good contrast for like that bone effect, and literally just slap it over it. The only thing I am tempted to do on this one, if I do go back and like want to add a little bit more, is like the vents around the top of the Wraith Cannon. I kind of want to add like a little bit of a glow to them. I did it on there's a Pistolier who has like a little tiny like cannon pistol. I can't remember what it's called, like fusion disruptor, whatever it is. And I did that with like a little bit like pink around the top, so it's got like a pink glow to it. So I might go back and do that on there, or I just leave it as being done and move on to other things.
Cool.
And then
This one's cool. I like this one.
Yeah.
the Shade Runner that is affectionately known as Kyle.
Kyle.
Because it looks like it's got the
Kyle?
Monster Energy logo coming off of the eyes.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just looks really cool. I like it.
Oh, it does. I'm very, very pleased. This was the one. So on that head, this was the first time that I did I did like a whole kind of all over dry brush, and that was just snakebite leather over the hood. And honestly, it is the best leather effect I have ever got. And I cannot replicate it again. I have tried. And it's like moment of like perfect dry brushing combined with then the contrast paint happened. And I have tried again, and it just never worked since.
Oh, that is a shame. Because that
Just,
does
like,
look very
pulled
good.
in just the right way, and
Loads
just
for
like,
good.
created this like proper, worn leather effect. And I just cannot get it to redo it again.
So, oh well. You literally got one model where it worked.
I got one. That
Yeah.
I'm going to hold on to that one. And yes, that is not like that's not a green stuffed hood that I could easily like paint the face and then go back to it. I had to like paint it all and then go and do the face inside, which was as horrifying as it sounds like, but very, very pleased with how that one came out.
Well, you definitely proved your talent in this one.
Characters. I like characters.
We know you like characters.
Yeah.
And then there is Nylida with their delightful. I feel like I need to go back and make it more bright, but their punk hair and their various gold accoutrement, and a big old gold knee as well, just to really just sell them as being the leader of the band.
Not that the very epic pose doesn't do that anyway.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because it's got the tactical rock, so
Yeah.
Instant leader vibes.
Yeah.
The second you've got a tactical rock, leader vibes.
yep.
You bring a rock with you everywhere you go. You're a
He
leader.
just got it stuck to his foot, just walking around the field. What is it with this?
Just like hopping,
Why-
like as it goes.
Why do, you
bizarre
think, why do you think most leader characters in 40k now have like their little attendants? Like Lionel Johnson's got like the watches in the dark wandering around with rocks for him to
I
stand
feel
on.
sorry for that Imperial Guard guy who's on the horse, but is it
Leontis?
the horse? Is it Leontis who's on a? No, it's not Leontis. Or is it Horus Heresy one? There's one who's on a Reaver Titan head.
Yes, Leontis.
Just the idea that those guys have to go. We've got to carry that Reaver head to like the next place he goes to. Like the horse rides off, and this crew come along, pick up the head, and run it to the next location.
That's what servitors are for. It's fine. Oh, shifting gears now.
Oh, hello.
Yeah,
I like
Wow.
The chain glaive.
Chainglaive is sick.
I love chain
glaive,
glaives.
yeah.
Chain glaives are cool.
Mama.
So
He's
this
a
is
big
part of
boy.
my ongoing attempt at the old streaking grime.
It looks like this one did better than the last one.
So I made this one brighter.
It looks-
I'm still refining the ins and outs of it, but the kind of like I didn't do as many washes on the paint kind of beforehand. I left essentially the underside. What I did previously was a full kind of dry brush and then a contrast of Black Templars over it, which kind of brought it all down. This time I just left it without. I did a full dry brush and then just a wash of the new Null Oil, like current Null Oil, where it's that much kind of like it's not as staining.
Yeah.
Just to like bring down the overall white dry brush. But yeah, I'm more pleased with this one.
Can I just sorry? Have you based them yet?
No.
I reckon if you actually put a base on that, you'd find that looks a lot better.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I actually think that's good. I think if you actually finish the model and put a base on it, it would come together.
I mean, I've got the basic materials. It's the delightful bit of sand and job's done.
I think you'd find that you'd suddenly change your mind and like, actually, this is probably done.
Mm. It's just I think the next stage is whether I want to take this and apply it to like all of them.
Yes.
my last one that I was going to do as an idea was to same kind of approach, but this time just from like the waist down, do the streaking grime.
Right.
So kind of like if you imagine like draw like not like actually draw a line, but like drawing a line kind of at the middle of the model, and then everything below that point gets the streaking grime, and then kind of like build, and then almost like as I'm wiping it away, drawing it up. So it's more intense at the bottom, and then kind of like builds up. So then you've got kind of like the brightness at the top, but at the bottom is that kind of like dirt layer, as opposed to doing it all over.
I could see that maybe working, depending on how you based it and the style, but I don't know that would work as a general rule of thumb. But maybe I'm wrong. So you want me to find out?
It's been a fun little experiment, but yeah, I'm more pleased with this one. I think I will get them both based up and get some pictures for the with them based up so we can have a proper peruse of how they look. But yeah, Chainglaive is the real winner here.
Yeah.
Although it is funny because it's about the right size for like a chain sword end, but it does also look a little short because it's the full length of the handle.
It is a little bit head shimmery.
I do kind of see what Joe's on about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I mean, that's absolutely fine because he's just going to head trim a load of cultists.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's fine. So this one, there is 3 pictures for this one, so I will just quickly whip through these 3.
Yeah. So these are the options on my apothecary.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which I think is very cool.
Amazing. I love him already.
So it's just the one magnetized arm because I was like, I'll keep the Maltesium and then just have it so I can either swap it out. I really want to have an apothecary with a chainsword. I just think it's just such a vibe that fits. You just can't take it at the moment unless you have like the Legends one. But yeah, I also again this was one that was entirely made just out of bits. So this isn't like a full assembly thing. It's a whole load of different bits kind of pulled together to make an apothecary model. And also just as like a fun little kind of narrative element to it, the firstborn like going and recovering from RS Marine thought to be quite a fun little addition kind of to it of a narrative. So I'm excited to get this one painted up. Going to spend some real kind of time on this.
It does look cool, but I can't get over the firstborn legs.
I mean, these are more proportional firstborn legs, I will say.
I'm sure they are, but
a little bit bow-legged.
Visually, I just clock it and I'm like, it still looks squat.
It's. I mean, in all fairness, I get it. They are the same height as the Horus Heresy ones.
Yeah, okay.
So literally, if you put them side by side, the Horus Heresy models, they are the same height now. It's just the Mark 7 legs are forever
burned into the
ingrained as
brain.
being- Yeah, if they were Mark 6 legs, you wouldn't bat an eyelid.
No, because I think the Mark 6 ones are awesome.
I'm convinced that there's something like they're gearing up for a refresh on Mark 7s.
They very well maybe.
Based off of the,
Actually, that's an interesting point. Actually, me and Els discovered something on our live stream yesterday.
Yeah, we did. Something very exciting, actually.
I was trying to show Els some heresy kits that we were hoping would come to Legions at some point.
Oh, yeah.
And we discovered that the Cellblade tank is no longer on sale.
Ooh. As in the big one, or was there a Legion? Oh.
Which could mean that it's coming back in plastic.
Oh.
Which, if it does, means that Legions will definitely get one as well.
Sure.
I need a reference point in terms of which one's the Fellblade.
It is the super heavy Heresy era Astartes vehicle.
Oh, it's an Astartes one.
It's their Baneblade equivalent.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Yes. It's disappeared off their web store. It's no longer for sale.
I mean, we are due a potential new version of Horus Heresy.
Which
yes.
wasn't confirmed yesterday as of this recording.
It was not confirmed as of this recording.
But when we discovered that late last night, I was like, oh, maybe there is stuff to come.
That would be a strong box. I don't think like if you did that as like a starter kit, I don't think you could do it as a starter kit, but it would be a strong starter kit.
It would be. I can't see it, but it would be.
It would be wild.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see whether that gets picked up anywhere else. Yeah, it was just quite interesting. So
that is very interesting.
But we have a little bit more to show off, don't we, John?
We do.
We do. So let's just pop over to the one of the two less egregious examples.
Yeah.
What is this?
What is this? Any guesses for what this is intended to be?
I have a feeling I know, but I'll see if anyone else can guess.
Is it supposed to be like a sister battle or something like that?
It's like a Grey Knight Sister battle.
So, this is Maker's Cult doing a range called the Daughters of War, which are kind of like less ornate, less kind of gothic vibe to Sister Battle armor design, like a bit kind of more techie. I saw this one and I was like, it was one of these moments. I saw the model and I was like, I just need to paint this. And as I was kind of looking at it, I was like, I love the idea of like trying out in the Grey Knight colors. So this is using a new paint which I got from a painter called Cobalt Steel. And it went through the airbrush and came out just absolutely. It came out so well. I went and picked up just another model I had printed. It was an LR Banshee proxy that I had because I was using to figure out scaling for somebody else. And I was like, I just need to spray something else with this so I can enjoy this color again.
Yeah.
And that was literally, I sprayed the whole thing in that silver, and then just kind of went through and and did the details on it. I just thought it was just a really cool looking Sister of Battle model. Like, it's so different to what they normally have.
I mean,
It's very cool.
for me, there's one feature on that model that just makes me want it.
Is it the wrist blade?
It's the wrist blade.
I don't know how many pictures you grabbed of this one.
I got a few, but they're not on the show.
What you can't see from this angle is I have actually tried to do the lightning bolts on the blade. So it was done up with I did like the little white lightning bolts, and I did the whole thing with the thematic.
Really?
So it looks like it's glowing. I was like, this is just a little treat for me. I've tried to do a little bit of the old OSL on that plasma gun there.
Yeah,
It's
I can see that.
kind of like coming
That's
through on
good.
it. There's even a little bit kind of like picked up on the shoulder. It was just like I just want to give this a go, just a little treat.
I mean, I think you've definitely solidified yourself. Possibly as the top painter in terms of quality for our team.
Not quantity or speed.
Definitely not quantity, but definitely quality.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like it's the business iron triangle, and I have just put all of my points into quality and none of the others.
Yeah.
I can do it well. I cannot do it fast. I cannot do it cheaply, but I can do it well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we do have another little look
Yep.
at this very cool lithium model.
Oh, wow.
So this
Yeah,
is
that's cool.
the Vindicare assassin, and I feel okay with just painting this one because it is very much a standalone character.
Yeah.
I have had this one on my gun, but not finished for the longest time. I'm also pretty sure this model is cursed because this is the third time that sniper has been built because he has fallen off of the stand so many times. The first time I was like, I was taking it to a game and I was like, I just want to give the Vindicare assassin a go in a game, and was exactly played out exactly the way that you'd expect. He sniped some characters off the board. The second somebody got close enough to touch him, died. But in the process of like trying to pack away, managed to the bit. There's a bit that kind of comes off the shoulder, like it's like a camera that is sticking off the side, so you can like see even better around the statue. That just snapped off, disappeared into the ether. He's got like a hook that's hanging off of the statue. The bit of rope that goes between his hand and the hook disappeared into the ether. So I was like, okay, the statue can stay. I'll rebuild the body. I rebuilt the body. I was there. I was using I was there carefully going through, like gluing it all together, painting it, and then I just did completely the wrong thing. It just slipped out of my hand. It hit the floor. Thankfully, it didn't break because it was painted by this point. But the gun did pop off. So then I had to like go back in and be like, well, he's kind of in position now, so I've got to go and like re-glue it all. And also, that was the point where it popped off of the statue as well. And I discovered the importance in scraping away a bit of paint before you use super glue. It seems the most obvious thing in the world. It wasn't to me.
In fairness, it wasn't to most of us when we first start.
Yeah.
I just like, yeah, it's fine, the super glue. And it was like, yeah, the super glue will hold the two bits of paint you're trying to glue together. And then the two bits of paint will separate, and you'll be left with a model that's fallen apart. So yes, now it's a case of carefully going through and filing off a little bit of paint on the bottom of everything.
This particular model brings two interesting things to my mind. First is that we're going to discuss this later because it's given me an idea for the main discussion. The second is that I have the very first commemorative model from Warhammer Plus, the Vindicare assassin in the statue.
Yes, I'm familiar with that one.
Still boxed. I might be sending it to you, John. Do you want to paint it?
I will happily paint that one. Oh, this is the other thing of why it got redone, is I based it all up in black. And then with the pose, he's got like the gun across the chest. I was like, I can't leave the details that are on the chest unpainted. So hence why I then had to strip it down, take it apart, and then go and like redo it all so I could get in and do all the things on the chest. But yes, I will happily do that, and you will have to let me know how you want the statue done, because there's a few different ways that you can approach that statue that he's in. Because I've seen it done with like all the verdigris is the wrong word, like all the green rust kind of effect to it.
That is verdigris, isn't it?
Is it verdigris?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
For that, I've got some paint for that.
Oh, well, yes. Well, I'm quite keen to get that model painted one day, and to be honest, I can't bother to paint it. So you probably enjoy it more than I would.
The other thing as well with the suit, I don't know whether it's kind of coming across. I didn't want to go with just like the standard black.
No.
So that's done using the Incubi darkness with then the Cabalite green as like a slight kind of like highlight area to it. He's essentially painted up in the same way that you would do Drukhari, if you're doing Drukhari in classic colours, which did make me, and I will say, not go any further, thankfully, in my brain, and be like, maybe I could paint you some Drukhari. And I was like, no.
Hey, John, I've got Drukhari models too.
I know, that is the worst part. And I know you have the kill team, which I was like, if I just ask Jamie, can I buy that box of Drukhari kill team, and then I could paint myself some Drukhari? And I was like, no, resist. But maybe I'll have a conversation.
Right. Let's move on, because there is something else coming up, which begs some questions, doesn't it, John?
I don't know what you're on about.
No.
Joe,
What have you done,
Joe and
Jonathan?
Al, I'm going to let you take the reins on this one, because I've already questioned John as a member of the Inquisition.
I'm sorry. What?
Just to clarify for you, Dale, those are some dark angels painted for epic.
Yeah, they don't look very wordberry.
Like, hold on a damn minute. Are you saying that are you switching armies?
All I want to say, can I go first of all? What do we think of them?
Are you switching armies?
No. What do you think of the paint scheme, first of all?
It is very nice. It is very nice.
It's not very wordberry.
They're cute as hell, but that's not the question I want to ask you.
I wanted to see. So after the conversation in the last podcast, one of the things that was brought up, I can't remember at what point it was brought up. Jamie could probably tell you because he sat and watched that podcast multiple times this thing. But there was a point where we were talking about kind of like painting at Legion scale and the difficulty with colours like black.
Is it?
And I was like, because you've got like, Iron Hands, Raven Guard, and Dark Angels during the Heresy era were obviously all in black. And then there was a point where we were chatting later on and we were saying about, the era that we're kind of playing our game in is more modern 40k. I was like, I wonder how they would look in modern 40k. Like how like the Legion scale would look.
No.
And the other thing was, they were literally some models that I just had on the side. They're already stuck to the base because they were intended for like original epic. So I was like, how quickly can I do them? So from black to they were already base coated in black, but from black to that, how long do you think? And actually, there's two stands of them because I had enough paint to in there to do two of them.
I won't guess because you already told me.
Like 20 minutes.
Like an hour, maybe?
Joe was on the money. It was 20 minutes because I timed it.
Right.
I wanted to see just how quickly I could. I don't know whether you can quite make out on the shoulders, but they do all have the shoulder markings.
I did notice that. That is impressive.
Because the Dark Angel shoulder marking for the wing insignia is literally I just did an arrow, like a down pointing arrow to get like the idea of like the shape. And then on the other side, all of the tacticals just have essentially arrows that point in opposite directions. So I just did a line with like a little bit more at either end to kind of get that effect across.
Nice.
Yeah, it works very well.
Yeah. So you're not switching armies?
Probably, maybe.
I knew it.
I think I think we need to have a calm discussion at some point about what John does in terms of armies, and probably a discussion of John, you need to start painting my armies because I'm taking over.
Maybe.
Yes.
Here's an intervention.
I'm
I
sorry.
I just wanted to paint tiny red bolters, and I feel like that's actually where I've been just going wrong. Is there is a broader conversation probably to be had in terms of there is a part of my brain that cannot latch onto something in Legions. Like fundamentally, I don't know what it is, because it's taken me ages to figure out like a thing to latch onto in like full 28 mil scale or 32 mil
you've done
scale.
that?
Yeah. In terms of an actual army, yes.
Have you got an army painted?
No, I don't have an army painted. I spent too much time trying to paint individual ones that, but, that kind of, something to latch onto. And I was like, I'll give these a go to see how that feels.
Well,
it's a broader concept.
Yes, I think we may have to have a chat at some point about focusing you onto an army at some point.
Impossible. I literally cannot do it.
And if that is the case, then we may have to do the deal. You may have to just start painting my 28 mil, and I will do your Legion's army.
Maybe that's the answer.
Because I can paint them pretty quick now.
Yeah. Again, they were actually pretty quick to paint. That's 20 minutes. For them. It's like
if you get your technique right down, you could paint Legions pretty quick.
I do enjoy the tiny red bolters. I don't know what it is, but that did.
Joe, there's one bit of advice I can potentially give you in terms of Legions, and that is don't limit yourself. You don't have to pick one Legion.
Yeah.
There's no. I mean, I got one Legion, so to speak, but I have 4 armies. Else has chosen one Legion, but that doesn't mean you have to have one Legion.
Yeah.
I mean, the other army I would love to do would be the 4 Chaos Deity factions. World Eaters, the Slaanesh, not World Slaanesh, Emperor's Children, Death Guard, and what's the other one? I've forgotten.
Thousand Suns?
How do I see 1,000 Suns?
The one that you have.
The one that you like.
Actual.
No.
You know?
I mean, I would love to do those. And that Legions, you could just do all 4.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
Whilst I was doing this, I was having a look at the some of the rules around them. The rules for for Dark Angels.
Good.
Actually, they've got really interesting rules in Legions.
They have an interest in it, and it's funny you mentioned that. That is going to be part of the topic of discussions today. So we'll come back to that point.
Yeah. I think I definitely need to play some different rules to figure out what feels good. But that's a whole different conversation.
It is.
There you go. I painted a different army
again,
and nobody was shocked. Just slightly disappointed.
Yeah.
Yes. there is no surprise here.
Yeah. But I didn't then try and do the entire army like this yet.
Yes, keyword B, yes.
What? I didn't say that.
But
I do have a very nice Lionel Johnson already.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it.
I have found a very nice Lionel Johnson already. I don't have a Lionel Johnson printed or made or anything like that.
I also have that model.
Because it's a very nice model.
Because every model that he releases, I immediately download.
Exactly the same. The difference is, I don't have a Lorgar or an Erebus or a Corpheron.
Yet.
Okay. Like, there was a thought that I had in terms of where I would essentially doing both, but taking what I have and separating it out from the word bearers. Essentially, what I have isn't chaosy enough, and I don't think there's enough stuff for making it chaosy. I have models for doing chaosy stuff, but I don't have models made for doing chaosy stuff. I am tempted to do something that isn't chaosy and then go chaosy hard when I have everything I need to do chaosy hard.
Okay. That makes sense.
That's the other thought process I had. It was like, go and do word bearers, but if I'm going to do word bearers, I want to do word bearers right.
Yeah.
And like the I'll tell you the one that has been like a little bit of a sticking point is I want to do Chaos Knights.
Yeah,
And I don't have Chaos Knights yet.
no, there aren't many good options for that at the moment, are there?
And like I've been looking, and there is a designer who has done some very nice knights, and I keep occasionally going to them, being like, "Hey, do you want to do Chaos Knights next?" And they've stopped responding to my messages, so I don't know what I'm meant to do now.
Praise to the Dark Gods.
I mean, yes, or get really good at sculpting, but the problem with it, like at Legions level, is I'd have to go and spend a lot of time kind of either going in and doing stuff in Blender or doing kind of other areas. I'm just hoping that somebody is like, we should do some Chaos Knights to go with all this Legion stuff that we've got going on.
Hopefully one day. You know, hopefully someone will see this podcast who is a designer might go, ooh, let's do that.
Or before I get a sufficient amount of money and somebody who's good at 3D design, and I'm like, I'm going to throw money at you until you make the thing that I want. That's the ideal outcome, because I'd like to be able to pay somebody to do that kind of thing, like commission it properly.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Just need that level of disposable income, and unfortunately my level of disposable income just goes on to buying more models. I need to get somebody to make me the models.
Okay. Right, well,
Anyway,
I think that's probably enough for Tankard Talk.
yeah.
Because
Big one today.
because a certain member of our team hasn't sent anything across as of yet.
Who could that be?
Who could that be?
The person who can't control his camera, I'm guessing.
It's great having cats, isn't it? Anyway.
Oh, right, okay, that makes total sense now.
the great bioform that destroys many a game.
Yeah, they've decided that behind the computer is the best place for them to be right now, with my flimsy, no tripod balancing on a thing of Beecham setup.
We are a very technically competent podcast.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This is top quality right there.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, let's press on and let's get to the main discussion. Yes?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so we'll see
Joe
you
gets the
guys.
skip being bullied.
Yeah, well, we did spend quite a lot of time basically
I
just
know.
complimenting ourselves, really, didn't we?
Yeah, we're just amazing.
We are.
I've made progress.
Well, now we can't move on. Joe, what progress have you made?
I've technically, by way of
The fact that you had to say the word technically means that everything you're about to say is null and void.
by way of purchasing,
Yeah, buying a pre-painted model does not count,
no,
despite the fact it is an amazing model.
Wait, I missed this. What was this?
Wait, were you not paying attention to the group chat?
What?
Oh,
I
John.
thought that was the kit.
No.
Yes!
Okay, I feel like we now need to clarify because this is now on the podcast. Joe, would you like to please tell our lovely audience what it is that we're all giddy about?
In one of our local game stores, there has been a beautifully painted, transfigured Fulgrim model from 30k. Therefore, I think it must have been it's been at least 2 months now.
It was
Maybe
there
2.5.
before Christmas.
Yeah. And it's been sat there for ages, and it's just been payday. And I was like, I went into work today, and I was like, if it's still there, it's a sign that I should pop a deposit down on it and buy it. And it still was there today.
So you put that deposit down.
Yeah, I did. And they very kindly knocked 20 quid off for me. So
Even better. I mean, that model was an absolute steal anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was cheaper than the original model.
It was
Yeah.
significantly cheaper than the original model.
And
Right.
he's wonderfully painted.
I get the context now. I was like, I didn't know they offered that service. I thought you were like, I can put down a payment and they'll order it in because they get official models in. I thought you were like, I put down a payment so that when Fulgrim comes in, the kit, you'll get it. I was like, that is some dedication to this thing that we are going to, eventually do. No, you were like, I'm going to skip the queue and just get my model made. And now I wish I had that option. No, I don't, because I would want to paint it anyway myself.
Yeah, you would. Yeah. I, on the other hand, I've been looking at that model every month thinking, should I buy this paperweight?
But now we all get to enjoy it.
I know, I've been wanting Joe to get it because I know Joe will probably end up doing Emperor's Children at some point.
Yeah, probably.
It is like.
Whereas if I bought it, it would just go on a shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just be a very expensive trophy at that point.
We do have the potential, though, for the most out of scale but hilariously sized Fulgrim for Legions. There's more Fulgrim. Here's my Primarch. Bam.
Hey, you could put him against my Warmaster Battle Titan.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll just write rules for a giant Fulgrim.
Why not? Could be fun.
He grows in proportion to his ego.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think the only problem that would actually work for is Magnus, because the whole shape-shifting thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny.
Hilarious.
Okay.
Well, that's exciting.
On that very lovely note, we are going to move over to the main discussion. So we'll see you guys in just a moment.
See you over there.
Hello, and welcome back to Discussion Time, the main meat and potatoes of the podcast. And as I previously alluded to, we are today discussing the new units and rules that we would like to include into Legion. So we're not talking about what we think Games Workshop are going to do. We're actually going to be talking about the kind of things that we are going to implement in our games into the Mead Hall Rules Index, if you like, which is a document actually I intend to make so that we can share at some point, which will include a variety of additional rules, some slight rules rewrites, as well as some new units.
And secondary missions.
And entirely new missions and secondary objectives.
Yep. Got to include it all.
Oh yeah. So
Can't let your hard work go to waste.
True.
Yeah.
So we've got quite a few things to discuss, and we're probably not going to go into every little thing. We're just going to pick out a few interesting things that we'd like to talk about.
Yeah.
And one thing I think that's going to be quite important to probably a lot of people in terms of their armies anyway, and I think will be quite important for us as well, that I want to sort of bridge first, is a change to the way army rules work for Legions. Because although the army rules in Legions, as written in the rulebooks, are quite good, for the most part, there are some really big fails. So, for example, the Astartes have 18 optional army rules for each legion. Now, by virtue of them being 18, as you can imagine, there are some very good ones and some very bad ones.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if they had actually managed to write 18 good ones. So I'm not surprised that some of them aren't good. But some of them are just so bad you would never want to do them. There are a handful that are so good you would take them every time. Now, that's not inherently the issue. I think, it's kind of an inherent issue, but my thought about this, and I've discussed this with you guys before in the past, you may remember, but I would like to steal the concept of the detachment system from 40k and apply it to Legions, so that we would just have a set of Astartes Doctrines or something that you can apply to a whole army, or potentially just the formations, but that will depend on where we stand on how we want to apply the rules. So basically, instead of having 18 big, or I say 18 big, but 18 rule sets or 18 additional rules, we just have a set of probably, I don't know, 6 maybe to start with, that just kind of encapsulates an idea of what an army should be, or a type of battle doctrine that's unique to Astartes.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to also apply that system to the other factions that exist in the game, because currently Titans don't get anything like that, Knights don't get anything like that. The Silver Auxilia do, but they get 1. They don't get to choose. And their one is quite good, actually. It's in the context, if you use it right, it's quite good, and that's their combat ability gets better if they're in base-to-base contact with each other. So, like, they form a phalanx.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of a cool idea, but I feel like that should be a Space Marine thing, not an Auxilia thing.
Yeah, I get where they're coming from in terms of that kind of like the idea of base-to-base kind of contact, firing squads and things like that.
Yeah, except it's not about firing, it's just combat and melee combat.
Hmm.
Like if they were getting like bonuses to their shooting when they're ranked up, that would feel quite Auxilia.
Yeah.
That is combat though. I feel like that should have been an Astartes rule. Like,
I have a suggestion for where that goes in as an Astartes rule, but we'll come back to my idea of where we take that one.
Okay. So my concept really is that we should come up with a set of doctrines, essentially, for the various factions. Essentially, new ones for the ones that don't have them, and redesign the Astartes, so that you can effectively just pick a style of play when you play the game.
I was going to say I thought that the Knights actually did have one, but no, those are their formations, aren't they? They give them slightly special rules.
Yeah, no, they don't
have anything on like the top level.
No, they don't have any army rules, so to speak. Well, they don't, and they kind of do in the sense that there's a really loose rule that if you take just a Knight army, your armor just become attack 3. But I feel like that's not an army rule. That's just there to make them function as an army.
Yeah, I was going to say that is something you don't touch, because otherwise you'd be like, I have to either choose to be able to play the game or not. Like,
and you say that, but also the Titans don't get that. The Titans don't get any rule like that. It's an odd one.
I was going to say, do the Titans need it? But yeah, they kind of do.
They kind of do. They can't. To be fair, they kind of do and they kind of don't. I have played an all-Titan army against elves, and they do, and they can win games just because of their sheer power.
And because they're playing against me.
But I do wonder whether that was because when I played it, you were more unexperienced at the time.
I definitely
whether a Titan army would actually work on their own without some kind of bonus. So as I need to play just a little bit. But that's not really the spirit of what we're talking about.
No, that's something that comes with testing things later.
Yes.
Yeah.
So essentially, coming up with some new detachment ideas. So maybe what I was thinking is we'll each just brainstorm an idea for each of the major factions that currently exist in the game. So starting with Space Marines. I think I'll start off, and I'm just gonna basically say that I think one of them that we would probably use is not a new invention. I would just take the Raven Guard rule that's currently in the game, which basically means that if your infantry detachments get infiltrate, that's it. To show essentially a nice infiltrating infantry force. And basically just grab that, take that out, change the title from Raven Guard to something like Infiltrating Cohort or something.
Is it?
Nice and simple, nice and easy. It lends the idea that you're a more infantry-focused force that's got a little bit more of a tech ops feel to it. The reason I wouldn't do the Alpha Legion one is because the Alpha Legion one is broken strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that's like you don't have to deploy everything, or
The Alpha Legion one allows you to basically, for every formation, pick 3 detachments in each formation to gain a benefit that equates to either forward moving, infiltrating, or outflanking, depending on the type of detachment.
yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
good. Does the Raven Guard one, does it affect anything other than infantry? There's
Well, I think it might be walkers as well. I can't remember off the
all
top of my head.
detachments that contain Raven Guard cavalry or walker models. Gain the forward deployment rule. Oh, so infantry gets infiltrate, and then your cavalry, walkers, and infantry inside of dedicated transport gets forward deploy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would essentially just grab that one and say, right, that's going to be a detachment. Done.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
John, would you like to? Obviously, for those of you who haven't played as much, if you just have a concept, I could probably help you figure out a rule.
So, the kind of the idea that I would be potentially, I don't know, kind of thinking about would be something that works around the different doctrines. So, like the Devastator, the Tactical, and the Assault Doctrine.
Right. Okay.
And I think it goes back to there's a few different variations, but the idea of as the game progresses, you move through the doctrines.
Perfect.
This one is coming from Kill Team, which had this particular system where you could then move through the different doctrines. But I believe was it also in 9th, or am I going mad?
It was.
It
In,
was.
It was in 8th, 9th, and
yeah.
a version of 10th as well.
Oh yeah, but in 10th you choose, don't you? You don't.
Yeah. It's been around
Yeah.
for a while. It might
just
not.
the idea-
It might not have been in 8th actually, but it definitely was in 9th.
But just that kind of idea of if you have a mixed force, like round, like in like, is it 5 rounds? But basically, like the idea of a progressing rule.
We've been playing 5 rounds. I can't remember if in the rulebook it's just 4, but we've been playing 5.
But essentially, like, turn 1, you're better at shooting at range. Turn 2, maybe you're better at like grabbing objectives. Turn 3, you're better at fighting because you're like going into that kind of like assault phase at, later on.
Yeah.
Like that kind of idea of that progression through would be my suggestion in terms of like having a rule set where you could then go, I have this mixed field, I'm having this mixed army that I'm fielding. I'm going to be good at shooting to begin with. Then from that shooting, it's going to like you're encouraged to also progress through because it's kind of like you need to move through those doctrines. If you just hang back, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah. It's definitely quite an easy way of doing that because you'd essentially have, say, round 1 and or round 2. You can re-roll your ones to shoot in the shooting activations, essentially. So you wouldn't get that on stuff like Overwatches. You'd only get it during the combat phase.
Mm-hmm.
You'd probably do that. You'd probably do it, just in the combat phase. Then in, say, 2 or 3, or 3 and 4, you'd move into the next stage, and maybe your entire army would just gain a +1 to their tactical strength for holding objectives, which again would be it's quite a nice one because your infantry are already quite high tact strength, but it does mean that your other units will become a little bit more competitive in objectives. And then that final stage, when you're in this sort of really assaulty phase, you would just maybe get the ability to re-roll ones in combat dice rolls or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's quite easy to implement. I think that's quite a good one.
Yeah, I just think it would encourage that kind of progression through where you want to go and get up close.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like it. I think that works.
Okay.
Els, have you got an idea?
So thinking about like from like my army perspective, like with Night Lords and stuff, definitely want something that leans into like their terror tactics and stuff like that. Something like not like quite chaosy maybe, but just something like along the lines of like stealth or I'm not really sure.
So so the one that I presented was the sort of the stealthy infantry style thing.
Yeah.
So what you could potentially go for is a more terror tactics strategy.
Yeah.
Which could potentially take the form of the Dread Aura, which is a rule that already exists in Legions, but only currently, as far as I know, exists on one model, which is the Side Titan.
Yeah.
But you could essentially just say, right, all units in this attachment gain the Dread Aura 6 inches.
Yeah.
As a thought kind of around this, and again, this is me coming from just an idea saying about that kind of lean. If you wanted to make it a Night Lordsy one, but to be fair, it would also work outside of Night Lords. I would say it's more of a chaosy one, but kind of taking that idea of like the Dread Aura, but having it so you get benefits if you've taken out a unit in melee. Because essentially, this coming from there is the Night Lords team in Kill Team, and they've got basically various guys who like cause morale effects after they've killed somebody in melee combat. Because essentially, you've gone, I've not just shot him, I've torn him in half in front of all of his mates.
Yeah,
that's going to cause an impact. So like it's like you get to turn it on and it make it like because that Dread Aura kind of effect is powerful because it's only on that Titan.
So
it's like. You only get it because you've gone and like torn somebody up, and suddenly the morale is getting it impacted.
Yeah, you could add on onto it. Yeah, so you could say when a unit in this army defeats a unit in melee combat, they gain the Dread Aura 6-inch roll. That'd be quite cool.
It kind of like leans into this idea of you want to get in, you want to take somebody out, you want to, you almost kind of go for like opportunistic attacks where you go, okay, if I get this, if I hold a squad back and I can drop them in on the side, go melee a group, and then suddenly I've got this Dread Aura group that I can then start moving through.
Yeah, I like that. That's probably better.
Yeah, that sounds honestly really scary.
Joe.
So I probably go for something, because if I wasn't doing the army that I am doing, if I was doing an Astartes army, I'd probably go with White Scars. There's something to do with like
Legions.
Yeah, but I'd do something speed wise.
Yeah. So
some of the benefits sort of fast. There's like fast sort of get in style of play.
Sorry, I'm just wondering stuff on what their rule is. Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
What's that one?
All White Scars models with Jink X. Special rule: improve their Jink save by 1. So a model with Jink 6 would become Jink 5 to a maximum of Jink plus 3+.
Yeah, which is great in principle, except there are only a very small handful of models that have that overall, and they're usually Jink 6.
Yeah.
Also, Jink cannot apply in if you give the first fire order. So it's an okay rule, but I can't imagine that comes up too often in most games.
Yeah, I was thinking more along the lines of something that would like benefit that sort of bike speed type.
Yeah,
thing.
My problem with that one is it's very defensive.
Yeah,
and I feel like the White Scars-esque detachment needs to be far more aggressive.
Yeah,
I get what they were going for with that kind of idea of
I get
they're going so fast you can't hit them.
I get it, but it doesn't translate too well based on the other rules, and 2, it doesn't fit the theme of being aggressors.
Yeah.
Now we can't do the sort of whole outflanking thing because that's built into the formation designed around the skimmers and the outriders.
Yeah.
So we'd have to come up with some kind of system for implying mobility across the army.
Maybe something to do with like benefits over difficult terrain and things.
Yeah.
Could do.
I have an idea which plays into one of our favourite things that we have made sure all of our bases do, which is account for vehicle positioning.
Uh,
And you do them where when you are making a charge with vehicles, if you are striking the side or the back, you get bonuses. So it's essentially the idea you're taking that cavalry charge approach so the bikes come in and they because they hit the side, they're not going to go through, but in that idea they get they can charge through the side. You hit infantry, it's you lean into someone's idea of they're a cavalry charge force.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I like
applying that to Legion's rules, I think that's great, perfect idea. The way we probably have to word it is now we'll say White Scars, but obviously we're not going to label those White Scars. But if a White Scars detachment is in the rear arc of a vehicle's profile in combat, they would gain an additional cash, so they hit harder. So you charge into the back of the vehicles, you get bonuses.
Yeah, and maybe something for infantry as well. It's just that idea of kind of they charge into infantry. If they're stuck in combat, they don't get it. But if they've charged in, they get a bonus. I don't know whether they inherently get a bonus anyway.
So they do. Everyone does. But what we could say is that you get the Furious Charge trait. That'd probably be even simpler. Just give them the Furious Charge trait.
Yeah.
Because Furious Charge gives you an extra calf on the charge.
But there you go. So how do you normally get Furious Charge?
You have to have it on your data sheet.
Oh, okay.
There aren't many models that have it outside of Knights.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the combat Knights have Furious Charge, but I haven't seen many others.
So yeah, so it's something like that where it's because you've charged in, you've got your bikes, they're charging in, they get that calf, so you're encouraged to take lots of bikes, and this also is then the opportunity for making some White Scar spear wielding bikers, which would look amazing.
I'm just going to
Very
quickly
cinematic.
double check that the Outrider stuff don't have Furious Charge. They do not. Scimitars do not. Speeders do not. Javelins do not. Yes. So the typical White Scars units don't have Furious Charge. So yes, I think that would work quite well. So there we go.
Cool.
I like that.
And yeah, that'd be cool. I think the just in terms of some if we're happy with some other ideas, throwing some out there.
We'll allow a wild card. I want to keep some pace, but go on. I'll let you have a wild card. Go on.
I was just going briefly back to the Imperial Fists, Iron Warriors E1s of something to do with this kind of idea of digging in and reinforcing. So something that I think would be a really interesting one is building reinforcements. So essentially you make buildings even tougher if you're garrisoning them.
See, what I would do is I would steal the Solar Auxilia one and say
do they have that one, do they?
Because the Solar Auxilia one is if you're in base-to-base contact, you get an extra cast in combat.
Yeah.
If you're garrisoned inside the building, you count as always being base-to-base contact.
Okay. But does that helps with if somebody's trying to fight it, but does that help if the building's being blown up, for example?
No, but then you can't have everything.
Yeah.
Personally, I would grab the Solar Auxilia one and just give that to the Astartes as one of their ones.
Yeah, that one.
So, nice segue. Solar Auxilia. The infantry. The mortals. So, I'm going to allow John to go first this time. So, John, give me an idea for a regiment-style rule for the humans.
Okay. See, my initially was I don't have an idea, and now I have too many ideas.
I will only accept one.
I will I think a interesting solo auxilia one would be something kind of leans into what they're doing, a little bit what they're doing already, but something around like the artillery barrage style. Like, whether it's a case of here's what I'd want to see. Actually, this is what I'd want to see. I'm getting it now. My Dawn of War brain has kicked in of how I used to play Imperial Guard, and I did not make friends playing Imperial Guard this way.
Were you the same person that I was, where you just built the basilisk and just shot things from across the map?
I made a wall that they could not break through, and basilisk. And I was like, this is where I learned fire for effect, and the effect is everything explodes because you're like, I can't target that thing because I can't see it. But I can still shoot over there because I'm within range. So
Oh my God.
I want the very basilisks get blast templates.
As an army rule.
So the whole idea is your artillery gets access to blast templates, and what I would do is I would go off of the approach that was taken with old Epic, going back to old Epic here. The more basilisks you have, the more you can chain the blast templates. So essentially what would happen is, the more you had, the bigger the blast range would get.
I like what you're going for. The problem is, because of the scale and the abstraction of the rules, that would become overpowered very, very fast. So I have a counter argument for you.
I will happily take that.
Okay. Now, I don't listen, and this is where I think we might change things a little bit. So I think actually this would work as a really cool rules change rather than an army rule.
Okay.
But the artillery weapons, so the barrage trait weapons, basically gain a blast template. So the standard 3-inch template.
Yep.
A detachment with those weapons picks one target, one template, and they get a dice for every model that fires. Because the way blast templates work, they hit everything under the template. If you suddenly had 8 templates for 8 basilisks, that's way too much. That'd be overpowered. But if you say you had one template, targets one area, but then you get 8 dice per shot. And then obviously scattering makes things more difficult. That I can tell you right now, that will still be very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I said, I will go to the person who has some more experience in the game. That is just a general better rules lawyer than I am.
That's something I'd have to play with. But I think that might be an interesting way of changing the way artillery works to make them more thematic to being artillery. And bringing more templates in, because we all love templates.
We love templates.
Oh, yeah.
More templates. So yeah.
So definitely something we could potentially look at doing.
So I'm trying to think of, like, is it almost kind of like themed around almost like, is it Steel Legion? They're pretty artillery.
Kind of. I mean, yeah, Steel Legion are more tanky, really. I think the real artillery faction is Krieg.
Oh, there you go. I've done it, guys. I picked the Krieg one.
But yes, so probably not an army rule. I would say that's probably maybe a rules change that we could make. But we could possibly come up with some kind of way to make that better in an artillery style detachment. So maybe with that formation, instead of rolling, I think it's a D3 plus 1 for scatter, they would just roll a D3, so they'd lose the 1.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It's quite minor, but it would obviously encourage you to say, well, my artillery is slightly better at targeting things.
Yeah, that kind of thing would be, yeah.
Okay.
More accurate artillery, yeah, that'd be cool.
Else?
I probably would say something along the lines to do with like how they use terrain, because I had, as a very quick side rant, I had It's weird that John mentioned Imperial Guard because I had a weird 40k dream. This is how you know I've been integrated into the hobby properly now, because I started having dreams about Warhammer, right?
This is the second one, right?
Huh?
This is the second one, right?
The second time it's mentioned in
The
podcast.
second time it's been mentioned.
Yeah. So I had this weird 40k dream that I was on like a battlefield with like loads of Imperial Guard around, and they were using, it wasn't even a nightmare, but they were using the dead bodies of their Imperial Guard comrades as shields. Like, they had piled them up on like almost like to make like a pyre, but they were hiding behind them whilst they're being shot at. And to be honest, it worked very effectively.
I do believe
it.
there are accounts in history of things like that happening.
Yeah, I was going to say, that just didn't feel that surprising.
Yeah. So I don't know how we could incorporate something like that into Legions, but I would definitely like to see that.
I've got an idea for you already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could have some kind of line of sight based rule where if you're shooting past an infantry unit into a unit of vehicles, the infantry could essentially martyr themselves into the shots and take the hits.
Oh God, that's so gnarly, but I love it. Yeah.
And that infantry isn't going to have a good time.
I think we can play around with some kind of idea where they can sort of intercept shots.
I don't know where that like, just this as an aside, I have absolutely no idea where that dream came from, because the only like kind of Imperial Guard media I've even like that's even close to it that I've consumed is like the Death Corp of Krieg. So I don't know. I don't know where that came from.
Probably the Warhammer Plus episode that they're in. Kalia stands.
Could be. Yeah, I suppose so. I didn't really think about that.
Joe.
So, I don't know if it's a very feasible thing, but going on that sort of like regimented kind of, the kind of like formation style thing, just having like maybe even like a once per game thing where you can issue a command and your infantry, each infantry unit shoots until it fails. So like you go one shots, if it hits, the next unit goes, the next unit goes, the next unit goes until they miss.
What if they miss off the bat?
You wasted it.
Okay.
I think the issue with that obviously is you'd probably have to do that model to model rather than to detachment, because the detachment will have upwards of 4 to 10 shots per infantry stand for a set of infantry stands, and then if we're saying that they all have to hit, then that's never going to happen because they hit on 5s for the majority of their infantry weapons. If we do a model to model, then you're only going to get one or two extra shots max. So I like the idea. I'm not quite sure how we'd make that work off the top of my head. Because your idea is essentially some kind of order-based bonus action, essentially.
Yeah.
What about if we play with morale and use a morale as the metric? So you can issue a command, and then every unit within 12 inches can get a bonus action if they pass a morale check or something.
Yeah, that works.
Because typical Auxilia morale save is 4+.
Yeah.
And we probably have to say an unmodified as well, because otherwise technically they'd get the command staff's bonus, which is a 2+. That'd be ridiculous. So I think there's some play there. Some kind of command thing that we haven't really they do have like a command system, but it's very different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. Well,
Jamie, what about you?
I mean, I've got about 3 in my head already.
I have had more kick into my head whilst we've been going through this. So
yeah. So I think the one I'm going to present as the main one, I will very quickly mention the other 2. So the main one is I want to steal the crossfire rules from Gene Stealer Colt's 9th edition.
Jamie, how long have you been hung up on that rule going away?
So long. But this is a perfect opportunity to bring it back.
Of course,
I don't actually think you might have to fill me in because I actually didn't.
Essentially, if 2 units are firing across a unit, one of the 2 units get bonuses to attacking that unit.
Okay.
So, like, they're firing overlapping fire into a single unit. So I would have some kind of, it would probably be some kind of bonus to hit or a reroll or something to represent them firing into the same target from 2 different angles. So you'd have to fire from the front arc and the rear arc.
Yeah.
Which also works quite well because most Legions models have that.
How would you do it for infantry?
Well, the thing is, you'd either just have it more like the 40k one, where you just say you have to have an intersecting line of fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or we play into the idea that Legions already has a built-in system for forward and front arcs, and it only applies to a vehicle.
But how much? I guess you'd be shooting vehicles with like other vehicles. I'm just trying to think of. There isn't really a guard unit that you'd shoot, like a guard infantry unit that you'd shoot.
No, not at the moment. So, it would depend. I would need to workshop it a little bit. Whether we just go for a flat roll, but then also infantry don't shoot vehicles because at all. Yeah, I'd have to workship it a little bit.
Not infantry don't. Marines might with the missile launchers, but that's about it.
Yeah, so we'll see. It needs a workshop, but the crossfire idea is something I would
100%.
definitely do.
No. I was more thinking of like the infantry, to infantry. You could just draw a line across the middle of the disc and just be like, are they in that side? Are they in that side?
Yeah, I would probably just say, rather than focusing on the unit you're targeting, it's the units you're firing with, and if you can draw a line between your 2 detachments, then they gain the crossfire.
Yeah.
Or benefit.
Yeah.
So that would be the one that I would definitely want, because also it's the one I would use probably all the time.
Yep.
But yes, yeah, I had some others in my head and they're all gone now.
Whilst you use, can I throw my very, very quick one in, which is perfect, a follow on from that, stolen from Gene Stealers as well. The rule would be guerrilla fighters, and it's all about your little markers, and your infantry can pop out from those markers.
Yeah.
Oh.
Simple as that. Markers moving about. We need to workshop in terms of how far you take this rule, but the idea of just like your infantry can just kind of pop out the ground from those markers, or it could be like in a building, and you go. We have, you could like set up markers on the buildings, and in that way that we have like orders, you flip them and you're revealed, actually, they were in this building. The building that you spent all your time shooting at didn't contain anybody. You've been looking at some of the older editions, the Mandrakes rule from the first Dark Eldar Codex. You don't set up the Mandrakes on the board. You set up markers that move like mandrakes. You can't interact with them until the Dark Eldar player chooses to reveal this was where the mandrakes were the entire time. That kind of idea, but for infantry. Just infantry, so you can't suddenly go, Baneblade rises out of the ground and
Yeah, no, I think that would be quite cool. Just one quick one, I think. Building on the lines of the regimented firing lines, I'd probably utilise that idea that we kind of touched on, where if you actually regiment your infantry stands into lines and they're base to base, you'd get a bonus to shooting. So you basically get like a gun line. And again, if they're inside a building, they counter space to base, so they get the bonus.
Yeah.
Which is the one I feel they should have had rather than melee one.
Yeah, like that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, ironically, I think we've just made the auxiliary ones because I quite like all of them. So there you go. You've seen it first here, and I will probably write that down at some point and post it online.
Nice.
Okay, so let's move on to knights. Now, knights might be a bit more difficult because I'm guessing I'm probably the only one with significant experience with the way knights works.
Yeah.
So, does anyone have an idea for how we might create a night house tactic?
I will say you go first whilst we muse.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in terms of night strategies, so I would probably want some kind of way of adding like a reverse dread aura. So instead of reducing morale for enemies, improving the morale of allied forces, because I'd imagine that it'd be quite uplifting to see these noble knights marching alongside your solar auxiliaries and stuff like that. So maybe some kind of reverse dread aura that boosts allies, so that they're less likely to run away. Stuff like that. Quite a simple one, but I think would kind of show that regal nature of the knights.
I think, yeah, that'd be like. So, would you have it of like you have to take a certain number of knights or something like that to make that happen, or
so you'd have to run a knight formation for them to trigger that. So you couldn't just have a knight strategic asset. It would have to be a full knight formation.
Okay. I have one. I have an idea of one. This is very like. This would probably require a lot more rules than we can come up with at this moment in time.
Yes.
But it is the idea of the quest and taking something like. I'm more thinking like the Space Wolves 10th, the sagas, but for knights. And it's as a if you choose to do this, you have like these are things you have to do in the game, and you get benefits for every one you do. So it's like if you it'd be like, okay, we need to go and take out commander, take out a HQ. If you take out HQ, your whole army gets this. Yeah, or your whole like detachment gets this bonus because they've completed their quest, and then you can keep kind of going through, and it's the whole idea of basically just leaning into the idea of these are knights on a quest. You've gone and taken the enemy's home objective. You've recovered the chalice. There you go. You get your nice little bonus because you've gone and taken your knights on this quest to go and do this thing.
Right. In fact, I would be willing to say that as soon as I figure out the rules for that, that's probably the one I'd run.
Now, you do also get a bonus if for every you need a custom formation for this, which is every knight gets a every knight, whether it's Cerastus or Questoris, you get an armature. That armature is much cheaper, but the only thing it comes with is 2 coconut shells. And then you can
the Monty Python.
We'd Latinize it in some way, shape, or form, and then they can go off on their grand, glorious quest.
The Montius Pythonius Lance.
Yeah.
You're gonna make some flyers shaped like swallows.
Yeah, questing knights. That would be my
Questing
goal.
Knights. That's the name.
Questing knights. Yeah,
that's the name. I like it. That's brilliant.
There you go.
Nice. Got any more ideas? I'm gonna this is gonna be more freeform because I'm not gonna force you guys to come up with something.
So I quite like the idea of one of the oaths of paladins in D&D can do a thing where they essentially defend an ally. I like something along that sort of range with like maybe. Which one's the one that has the like big force shield?
That's the Lancer.
Yeah. I guess it would be fairly specific to that one, but something to do with defending allies within a radius.
Well, they all get ion shields, don't they?
Yes, they do, yeah. Which is a rule that I've been considering modifying. Because it's terrible.
What I was going to say is it could be that they take like shots if they're within range of an infantry. Almost like the reverse of the infantry can take the shots for the tanks. It's if you have a knight, they can like block the shot.
Yeah, I like that, and I've already got the name for it. The Towering Defenders.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, maybe they can intercept shots. Yeah. For units.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. We can come up with something like that. Probably have to ban taking shots from other infantry though, because they're immune to that damage.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
they can sort of intercept big shells from vehicles and stuff. They can kind of block it, but the infantry they're too small. They can't. They're not moving enough necessarily to block those shots.
I have another kind of idea. I don't think this would work in a like as a rule like for a detachment. I don't think you take it, but as almost like a rule to write for knights would be the idea of you'd be able to issue a challenge. So I don't know whether this would only be if you had like you maybe would do it only if you had like a mirror map, like if the other team had knights. So you could go. You issue a challenge against that other knight, and it's like those like if say it's like a melee, and you can almost kind of like a bit like almost like a precision in like 10th kind of thing of even though they're not base to base, they've issued a challenge, and therefore those two kind of get into a melee scrap.
Or, I mean, it's just to make it a little bit more generalist for anyone. Maybe your army rule is some kind of honor duel or challenge metric where you pick a knight from your army that must challenge the opposing army, and one model from the opposing army must accept the challenge, and that if the knight from your army manages to destroy the opposing model, you gain a bonus.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well,
but then we might have to say that Titan can't accept the challenge.
I was gonna say, be like stride out in your Sarastas Knight, and the warlord Titan rocks up, and you're like, "I have accepted your challenge."
Yeah, there could be some play there.
Although I do quite like it being that sort of gamble, though. That's the element of that is quite funny.
Or like you can do it, but you can only do it in like a melee brawl or something like that, or like there's some kind of bonus, which means that knight could take down a Titan. It does kind of break any like illusions of realism. I mean, realism in 40k, but the idea of like, just a Questoris with a chainsaw being like, I'm gonna cut that thing down. It just looks like a really big tree to me. We're just gonna just go at the legs until we get all the way through.
Yeah.
There's definitely something that could be done there.
Yeah, definitely.
Got any ideas else, or do we want to carry on?
I mean, I have something, but I don't know if it's too goofy or not. And I'm not sure if it would work for a knight or it would work better for a Titan, even though I don't like running Titans. But it might be something. It's probably worth mentioning anyway. I don't know. Like, I just have this image of like, say, like a land raider or like another transport or something gets a little bit too close to let's say a knight or a Titan, and they just like stand on it to like stop it. Is that anything? I don't know. It was, but literally, I am not messing with you. It was the first thought that popped into my head when you were like, knights? How about it? I have no idea why. I guess it's just like my corrupted ADHD brain at this point. But yeah, I don't know. Is that anything?
I don't know if it's out about.
The silence was so loud.
No, I was thinking in terms of like what the idea of that rule would look like, and my thought is that it goes into something around like affecting movement. So on like anything that is non-infantry, it's like a minus to movement, and actually, maybe you. What does Dread Aura do? Remind me.
It's -1 to leadership within a distance.
What if it was something? I don't know how much this breaks it in terms of the game, but that idea of like somehow there's some version of these knights that actually just slows things down. Like they have an aura of negative move, like reduction of movement around them. It's the kind of the idea. Maybe it's like it can only go up to something that Titans aren't affected, but if it's anything less than a knight, they're kind of like they're going and they're like, I don't think we should get any closer to this thing and like slow down because they get within range of it.
Yeah, not sure. Not sure.
I feel like I've caused more problems.
I am skipping ahead on this one, but I know where this rule would be really in, where you could use this rule.
Okay.
And apologies that we're jumping to something which I don't think we were necessarily going to talk about, but trying to take that idea out. You have it that it affects vehicles. It is an AdMech one, and it is them affecting the machine spirit of it.
Yeah.
So if anything that is a vehicle gets within range of like your AdMech commander, they affect the machine spirit, and it just like it could just be almost like a ring around it. If it touches that ring, it just stops.
Oh my god!
So then you've got to like drive. Oh, you've almost got to imagine like this. That's the only thing that they have as a rule, but they just like roll through, and it'd be like, if you get close enough to this thing, your vehicle just stops.
Wow.
Okay. There's something there, maybe.
There's something there.
There's something there. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll move on to Titans. Now, I think Titans are going to be the hardest one for everyone, really. Which may be why Games Workshop never actually did heroes at all. But I think there must be some kind of Legio tactic that we could come up with. Even if we only come up with one today, it'd be better than none.
I have kind of an idea.
Let's go.
And this is based off of the Hell's Reach book. And in the Hell's Reach book, there is a whole thing of there is the Imperator Titan in that, and they have like essentially their bands of like the dire wolves, and they're literally considered like a literal hunting pack to the Imperator. Like the Imperator can't move, so this hunting pack kind of like goes around and like corrals essentially the enemies to get within range of the Imperator. What it would be, obviously we don't have Imperators, but kind of the idea would be that you would, if you don't have Imperators yet, you would take like it almost kind of goes into like a formation, but it'd be like if you have a certain type of Titan, or you have like a big Titan, and you then have subsequent dire wolf Titans, they get a bonus by being run kind of with that detachment. So whether it's a case of like a bonus to shooting, something like that, but kind of almost encouraging you to run more of the dire wolf Titans with one big central Titan, as opposed to like not running those dire wolves.
Yeah, I think that's actually quite an interesting idea, because that's one of the ideas for the knights I forgot about, because I think there's some play with some knights with doing some armature based shenanigans, but applying it to the Titan scale is quite interesting, because if giving an incentive to run the Warhounds and the Direwolves, the Scout Titan variants, would be quite nice, because in terms of points, and again, this is something I'm looking at tweaking a little bit, there's not much incentive to run the Warhounds compared to just going straight to a Reaver.
Yeah.
So having an army rule that would encourage the use of the Scout Titans would be quite cool, actually.
Or maybe it's a case of, that you don't have a central one, you just have these, like, because they have, like, a synergy, they work together as, like, a pack kind of idea. Which would be, like, pack tactics for the Direwolves.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be my idea of, like, a reason to run them, because they are smaller. They have this kind of, like, this idea of this hunting pack kind of idea.
I mean, I think there's almost 2 detachments or 2 formations, or what, not formations, but army rules there, because you've got the one which is just encouraging the use of solely the Scout Titans, so some kind of pack tactic rule, and then you've also got the sort of the muster and leash style one. So we could actually potentially come up with rules for both, where the main Titans have some kind of symbiotic benefit with the Hounds, and then a version where it's just the Hounds themselves working in tandem. So I think that's potentially two sets of rules there. I quite like that.
Yeah.
I think I was going to say one that I have said about before, and I've definitely brought up on the on this podcast before, is whether it would become like a faction rule or just something that we would implement, but vehicles or like essentially things that aren't Titans gain benefit of void shields by being close to Titans.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Maybe if it was like just infantry, like they can't, they can get inside the void shields and kind of get that benefit. That was that's one that I've thrown out a couple of times. I've thrown out before. I know at least some point.
Yeah, there are some difficulties with that one, based on the way void shields work. I think that it could maybe be done. I need to think about it a little bit more. I have thought about it before, because you have mentioned it before, and when I initially thought about it, I couldn't work out how it would be broken.
Yeah, because I guess you just couldn't touch infantry if it was.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't exist.
Yeah, so it's something we could potentially look at, but no, I think that's quite good.
Anybody else? Any other ideas?
Fire. Fire. So, like, say you've got, obviously Titans are freaking huge, right?
Yes.
Like, they are top tier, big of the boy, right? They can see everything. Okay, so an infantry unit goes into a forest area. The Titans know they've gone through there, but they can't see them. So I propose that they have a special ability to set fire to the patch of forest they know they're in, and on, like, I don't know, like, what the role would be, but the unit in the trees take damage on where, like, the blast radius, how much it hits them and whether they die or not. But then, for the rest of the game, it leaves the forest terrain area exposed, so it's no longer really... It still is, but it's not viable terrain to, like, hide in. You have to be, like, sort of more careful. Is that anything? I don't know.
I like it. It's just very specific.
Yeah, I don't think it'd work as an army rule. There's something you could maybe play with, some bonus rules in a game or a mission, maybe. there's similar rules that exist with destroying terrain anyway in the game, so it's kind of a similar concept to that.
Yeah.
It's more of a universal rule rather than an army rule, but it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it is. I think it would be nice to have a sort of thing where if you are playing with flammable terrain like a forest, that the like destructible terrain extends to like flavors things.
Yeah, we'll definitely do something along those lines potentially.
I actually have one for you, Jamie.
Okay.
Which I would dub as the Psi Relay detachment. And the idea being is essentially, literally, like from your it would focus around the sinister battle titan, and you could chain their psychic weapon. So the way that I would potentially say about doing it is almost kind of going back to the idea of the other titans. So let's say that you had you could take your Psi Titan, and you have a direwolf, and the Psi Titan is behind a building. It can see the direwolf, and the direwolf can see another unit. You can fire the Psi beam essentially from the Psi Titan into the direwolf and across, and that makes it can shoot from there, but it's worse because you're essentially having to relay it through. If you are firing it from one Psi Titan to another Psi Titan and then out, obviously the other one wouldn't get to shoot; it would lose its shooting action, but it gets stronger because now they're both shooting. So it's like you can take like standard Titans, relay it through, but it gets worse. Or if you have multiple Psi Titans, it gets stronger and stronger because they slowly add it all up. But they can't all fire then. So you're sacrificing your multiple shots for just having one chain that goes through and just makes something psychically explode.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, I'm going to love any kind of psychic detachment.
Yeah.
The fact that we can even contemplate a psychic titan army rule just makes me very giddy. So, yeah, they're cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been thinking about Red Alert recently, and that's it's triggered the old prison tank from that back in the brain.
Shit. Okay, cool. Well, I think we've probably got a nice set there. We could potentially look at the only other armies that really exist in the game, which is Mechanicus, Dark Mechanicus. But I personally don't have a lot of information on them.
I don't have any idea.
And and at the moment, none of us play them.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do is we will skip over them, but we may revisit them in the future. Well, I promise you that at some point we will, because I'm sure one of us will eventually pick that army up. Probably John.
Probably John.
So it will be something we'll be interested in looking at in the future. When we do eventually get the rules document done, I'm sure we can add to that, because I'm sure people will want to see our thoughts on the matter.
Yep.
Okay, so that is a nice set of rules that we've got. I think we've potentially got quite a lot there to play with, and I very much look forward to trying some of these out. So, I know at the beginning of the episode we were planning on discussing some other topics, but due to the length of our video and the copious amounts of ideas that we've had, I think what we're going to do is we're going to round up this podcast, and we'll do a part 2 of rules additions that we would like to make for Legions. So don't worry, we will cover it, but not this week. We'll leave you on a cliffhanger, as every good show should.
I enjoyed this setup. This setup was not the answer of part 2 of 2. That was just part 2.
You never know. You've already seen what we're like with rules.
All part BBC series.
So, with that being said, let's move over to the round table and wrap up what we've had. Hello, and welcome back to the final section of today's podcast, where we just quickly wrap up everything we've discussed and maybe drop a few little requests for you guys to do some stuff for us. So, today we have obviously had a look at our Tankard Talk, where we've seen some more Night Lords. We've seen various interesting little additions to John's ever-growing hobby journey.
Yep.
And
My eclectic collection grows.
yeah, and he's definitely going to get thrown a load of my models now. And then in today's main discussion, we talked about the generation of new army rules we'd like to see for the various armies that are currently available in Legions. Now, there are things that we could discuss beyond that. There is technically two armies we didn't discuss, which is the Tech Priests and the Dark Mech. But we did discuss the Astartes, and we came up with quite a few good options there for more Legion agnostic rules, but more along the lines of the detachment system for 40k.
Good.
I would like to go over a rough idea of what they all were, but off the top of my head, I can't remember them.
I remember I had the idea of the different doctrines.
Yes, so we had the Doctrines one, we had the Infiltrator style game, we had the Outflanking Combat one, and we had the sort of Terror Troop one as well, which are the main ones. Then we moved on to the Auxiliaries, the Humans, where we had my Crossfire steel, we had this sort of jumping out of the vents, Sonas.
My basilisks at the back line blowing everything up.
Yes, yeah. We also had what did we have?
Dead bodies as shields.
Oh yes, the martyrs.
The martyrs.
The martyrs.
And the bonus commands.
And the bonus commands, yes, we did have those. In terms of knights, we struggled a little bit more with the knights because that needs a little bit of workshopping, but we came up with a few good ideas. The questing knights, I think, is an amazing one.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
The towering defenders is another one I really liked. It makes my initial idea seem a little bit weak now with the inspiring knights. I feel like that needs a bit more work now that I've heard
I feel like
much better ideas.
Those two could potentially get wrapped up together.
Yeah, it could be. Was there another knight one we came up with?
Your Armiger hunting.
Oh yes, which I haven't really fleshed out, but there is a concept there of some kind of knights working with Armigers concept. In terms of Titans, that was the real difficult one, but we did come up with some interesting possibilities there with sort of the pack hunting of the Scout Titans and the master and subordinate Scout Titan concept, as well as the sort of Psi Titan thing, which is really cool. You might have to go back and rewatch that bit if for some reason you randomly decided to watch the end of the video. But yes, that one was quite an interesting one, and I will probably definitely try at some point, especially as it gives me an excuse to make another Psi Titan.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the real excuse for this one.
Not that I need excuses to make more Titans.
No, you don't.
I mean, I don't have enough. It's fine.
More really.
Always do.
Yeah.
So that's basically everything we've discussed today, and I think we've had a very good creative discussion. A lot of these ideas have been off the cuff. I've had some ideas going forward. Some of them are completely new, and I'm pretty sure you guys have been more off the cuff tonight. So it's been quite interesting to hear sort of some organic ideas come out here, which is quite nice. And there's definitely some inspiration stolen from the other game systems, which I think is also another good thing to look at, is actually where we can translate rules from other systems. So I'm quite happy with all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it is Pleasantly. Time to end tonight's session. So, I would like to thank you all very much for watching. And I would also like to say a special thank you to my team for staying up so late to do this recording and to present some wonderful ideas and some crazy banter. So I think I'd like to think we've all had a laugh and had a good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, always.
But to you guys at home, I would like to say thank you very much for watching. But please do follow us on all the social medias, which I'm sure Alice is chomping at the bit to go through. So go on.
Every time, I don't know why. Follow us on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, subscribe to the YouTube, comment on the YouTube video, copy link the YouTube video, share the YouTube video. All of the bits. Do all of it.
Do all of that if you can and are willing and able. The biggest one for me, I think, is please do share with your local community, your gaming hobby groups, anyone who might be interested. Sharing this content is how it's going to be found by more people. And that would really help us. In addition to that, if you would like to become part of a growing community of 4, please do send in any images of anything you've been working on, and we would love to feature them on the show. We did that last week for one of our community contacts. And if you've got anything you'd like to share with us, please do send it in through one of our socials, and we will share it as part of our Tankard Talk. And hopefully we'll get to the point where you don't need to see what we've done. We can just glorify everything you've done. Because that's really what we'd like to do. Because we'll spend enough time on this channel looking at our own models. It'd be nice to see what you guys do. So with that being said, the only other thing I've got to say is go and check out our live streams over on Twitch as well, if you're free and interested. And if you don't have time to catch them live, they will be uploaded on YouTube, generally a week after they're initially streamed. So that's it. That is all from us here at Mead Wargaming. Thank you very much once again. I have been Jay, your host here, and I've been joined by
John?
Al, don't forget to like the video.
And Joe.
Thank you very much. We will see you next time in the Mead Hall. Goodbye for now.
See you later.
Bye!
Ta-ta.